Let's take a look at the Pairwise Results option in the Ordinal Analysis Crossed Orderings procedure in the OM software. Now, to understand how this option works, we need to work with a different data set. We need to work with a data set that has at least 3 groups. So what I've done here is created another data set, and we can see I've got an experimental condition, experimental 1, then I have a control condition, and then I have another experimental condition, experimental 2. Now let's say for this example, the prediction is that the second experimental group will have the lowest reaction time, so they'll have the smallest values, and then individuals in the first experimental group will have the next lowest, and then the control individuals will have the highest reaction time, the highest scores. So that's going to be our prediction then for this analysis. So let's go ahead and move the time over as the first ordering. Again, I'm just double clicking that and that will move it over automatically. Or you can click it and move using the arrow. So we'll put group over there. Now again, we've got 3 groups here to work with. So let's define our ordinal pattern. And I'm going to magnify this again so we can just see it more clearly. And so again, the prediction is that the individuals in the second experimental group will have the lowest values, followed by the individuals in the first experimental condition, and then the control individuals will have, again, the highest reaction times. So there is our ordinal pattern for this analysis. So we'll select OK, and let's go ahead and get the randomization test here, and we'll use the defaults, that's fine. And then again, we've got the pairwise results option selected. So let's select OK to run the analysis. It iterates through. I'm going to go ahead and start actually with let's scroll up and we'll first take a look at the typical output. So we get the label here of the analysis, then we get all of the options that we've chosen, then we get our ordering frequency summaries, and so here we have the 3 groups. Then we get the defined pattern here, the blue cross. The blue crosses indicate the defined ordinal pattern, the expected ordinal pattern. And we'll scroll down, and we're actually going to start with the bottom here. I'm just going to hit enter a couple times so I can move this up to the center of the screen. So I'm going to start actually with the pairwise ordinal results themselves, then we'll revisit some of the things above that. So you can see what's happening here. We have all pairwise comparisons. So every individual in the first experimental condition was compared to every individual in the control condition. So we have that pairwise comparison, and then we have every individual in the first experimental compared to every individual in the second experimental condition. And then we have every individual in the control condition compared to every individual in the second experimental condition. So we get all possible pairwise comparisons of groups here. And then we get standard output here. We get the number of observations in the first and second group being compared here. First would be experimental 1, second would be the control. So we get the number of individuals there. 7 times 8 gives us 56 pairwise comparisons there. Of those, 42 were correctly classified, fit the expected ordinal pattern. And here it is. The control should be higher than the experimental individual. And that happened with a frequency of 42 out of 56 for 75% of the time. That's our PCC, our percent correct classifications. Then we get our chance value as well, and that's fairly low, 0.04. So fairly decent evidence there that we're getting a systematic difference between those 2 groups. Then for the experimental groups, we see the PCC is 81.63% higher, and again, a nice low chance value. And then the control versus the experimental, the PCC is even better, 89.29%, very impressive there. And the chance value is less than 0.1. So these are the pairwise ordinal results then. So you get these pairwise comparisons between the various groups that you're looking at. Now, if you were to add up these classifiable pairs of observations, 56 plus 49 plus 56, so if we scroll up, that gives you 161. So the initial results, the classification results here, the ordinal relations between pairs of observations classified according to the defined patterns, this is basically an aggregate of all the pairwise comparisons. So again, 56 plus 49 plus 56. If I combine all that together, I get 161 possible comparisons. Of those, 132 met expectation. So that's about 82% for the PCC. And then the C value is fairly low there. Again, 0.001. So with the analysis, you get this overall effect here the percent correct classifications. And then when you choose the pairwise option, you get all the pairwise comparisons.